a long time. But this is about me talking to you. I came to America when I was 21 years old, after serving as an officer in the Israeli army. You heard it. I met my husband on an apple picking machine. Those machines do exist. And he brought me here, and I never regretted it. And when I was 25 years old, my mother, I can totally dance. When I was 25, my mother came for the first time to America to visit me as I had my firstborn child. And something happened that visit that solidified who I was and my upbringing. So when she came, my father-in-law says to her, "Oh, I am so glad that Bob and Dorice stayed here in America and did not move back to Israel. Because you see, you have 4 other children in Israel. So, you don't need this one." And I will never forget what my mother did and said at that moment. She put her hand forward and she said, "I have 5 children. Each child is representing a finger. If something happened to either one of my fingers, it will hurt and it will bleed and I will suffer on the inside. Doesn't matter where they are." And I thought to myself, first, I was super relieved that my mother had 5 fingers, because for this story to work, you gotta have 5 fingers. Because we're 5 in the family. But then I decided, well, you can do that with anything you value in life, not only children. Think for yourself. What are the 2 things that you value? The 10 things you value. The 4 things you value. And also what I loved is how I heard my mother appreciating her children and loving her children. And I realized that that's how I grew up. My father worked in construction. My mother sometimes worked 3 jobs, so we will have all the things that we need. In 9th grade, I cleaned houses, 2 houses a week, so I will be able to get my Levi's pants and my Nike shoes, which was a big deal, right? But to everybody, I say that I grew up in a privileged household. And when people hear me say that, they say, "What do you mean privileged?" And by privilege, I mean love. I was surrounded by love. And that's how I started my life here in America. And that has been the foundation of who I were to become. And today, I want to share with you the 3 ingredients that I tap constantly into when I want to make things happen for my life. Do you want to hear what they are? Yeah. Oh, give me more. Do you want to hear what they are? Yeah! Here you go. And I'll tell you. So these are the 3 ingredients which I call my personal life hack. And hack is spelled H-A-C, okay? My personal life hack. Hope, action, courage. But before I go deeper into each and every one of them, I want to talk about you. May I? May I talk about you? Because you know what? You are the most important creation in this world. And that's some things that I learned growing up. Do you know how to say a human in Hebrew? Maybe you do. Anybody knows how to say human? Yeah? Adam. Yes! Absolutely. Say Adam, everybody. Adam. Do you remember Adam from the Bible? No clothes, right? Garden of Eden, made 1 mistake, kicked out. That guy, okay? 1 tiny mistake. Okay? So his name is built of 2 syllables, A and Dam. A encompasses the spirit within a human being. That's why it's open-ended. That's why it doesn't have a hard sound. This is where your dreams come true. This is where your soul resides, in this A. So everybody say A. A. Good. Dam literally means blood. It's the ligaments, it's the muscles. It's what makes you look on the outside the way you do. So what is a dam in its truest essence? It's the sum of the physical and the spiritual. It's what we see on the outside and what we feel on the inside. And I grew up knowing that the Adam that we have in this world are amazing. And that has to do with my upbringing. And I came here realizing that sometimes, as human beings, as great as we are, sometimes we face struggles. Correct? You know, some things don't happen the way we want. And when I was invited to speak here, I felt so privileged and so blessed to be in the company of you all. And in the last 2 days, what I've seen, besides the amazing workshops and the speakers and the vendors that did an amazing job, what I saw that really jumped into my eyes, and Marley started with it at the beginning and she finished it here now, it's the connections that were made. People who came not knowing many people are leaving knowing so many more friends. People who didn't think that they'll come again, I'm sure they're coming again because of the friends and what they got. Now, back into the Hebrew language, which is my strength, because English is my second language. The word to connect in Hebrew and the word a friend in Hebrew share the same consonants. And when something shares the same consonant in Hebrew, it means that there is an underlying hidden message. So the word to connect in Hebrew is lechaber. And the word a friend in Hebrew is chaver. So if you hear it, lechaber and chaver. Do you hear the similarities in the sound? Yeah, I don't ask you to do it because some people say, so I like, okay, just listen. Okay. We can do a teaching class later on. Okay. So what does that mean? That when you connect with somebody, you make a friend. And when you make a friend with somebody, you realize their value. And they, in return, see your value. Right? So what I saw here today is and yesterday, is all these beautiful friendship forms. So I want you right now to take a second and find somebody, either at your table, behind you, in front of you, whatever, make eye contact with them to show that person that you have seen them, that you have connected with them, that you're the friends. You can do wink, high five, thumbs up, whatever you want. Go, do it. I want to see it. I want to see it. Do something with your body to show me. Show me. Yes. Yes. I see the wave. Yes. Yes. You know, yes. I have met, you know, this is so beautiful because I've met so many wonderful people in the last 48 hours, right? And so as much as we are great, and today we're in the Superwoman Summit, you know, we all feel so invigorated. But I know that sometime down the road, or maybe you experienced it, you struggled. We all have. A later time, I'll tell you about my personal story of how I came to be doing this, okay? But for today, no, we'll skip it. So, have you ever felt fearful that something happened in your life that you didn't expect, you know, a disappointment from a relationship in the workplace? I've been listening to a lot of stories with family members. Maybe a relationship with yourself. Something that you needed to work on. And so I want to share with you a struggle that I had and show you how I used my personal life hack, hope, action, courage, to overcome that. So I was in the education business. I've been an educator for 30 years. And about 10 years into me working in a synagogue, I've been there for 16 years, they hired somebody on the staff. As a matter of fact, he was my boss. His name, let's give it a Jewish name, Moses. Okay? Let's give him Moses. So Moses was a good person, But somehow, I didn't get along with him. Can you imagine that? Like, what is wrong with this? Okay. Didn't get along with Moses. It seems like we were bumping heads constantly. Raise your hand if you know this feeling. Bumping, look at you! Yeah, I'm not the only one. Okay, bumping heads constantly. And I thought to myself, Dorice, why can't you just get along with him? Get along with him! And I remember the following summer, my husband took he and I to this beautiful Las Vegas weekend, romantic getaway. And all I could think on the plane was my pitiful work situation. And so for all the choices that one could do on a plane to get them going for a romantic weekend, I cried. The entire way to Las Vegas. And my husband says, Dorice, do you think you're a little bit overreacting? Me? You know, the picture of logic and reason? I was like, well, maybe a little. But what am I to do that 2 months from that point on, I was supposed to stand in front of 100 people and inspire them for the new year, the new Jewish year. And I'm supposed to uplift their spirit and talking about amazing relationships when I had the most unsatisfactory relationship with my own boss. And on that weekend, I decided that if I wanted to see a change, I have to be the one initiating it. Because I saw how miserable I was. I said to myself, Dorice, the power is in your hands. What are you going to do? And that's when I utilized my first life hack, hope. Say hope. Hope. Because I knew that I wanted a better future for me, right? Think of yourself, think of your life, something you are hopeful for, right? Why are you hopeful? Because you want to see a better future for you, right? You want to see something that you're more successful. You don't want to be suffering. I realized that the hope is the seed for everything good that is going to come. What I realized is that there is no negative effects to being a hopeful human being. Can you think of a negative effect? Zero. What I decided that fear, which was in my sphere, paralyzed me and didn't allow me to move into something else. Why? Because fear wants to protect us. Fear says, don't do that because we have never done this before, so don't do that. Hope is not for sure. You don't know that what you're hopeful for will actually come to fruition. But I still say, we hope still, because we want to have a better future. I want you to take a second and think about something, one thing you're hopeful for, starting today, starting tomorrow morning. You don't have to think a lot and make long lists. One thing. Take it in measurable actions. Now, I want me to be your mirror. So I want you to sit up on this chair, and I want to look at your eyes, and I want to see a hopeful look in your eyes. Not the look of defeat, but the look of hope. Bring it on. I'm going to look at you. I am literally going to look at you. Because you know why? Studies in positive psychology tell us that when we think positive about our lives, we actually overcome fear by doing this. That actually positive mantras help build us. Our brain releases endorphins that make us actually feel good. So I want you to think in your head, I am hopeful because I want to have a better future. I am committed to a better future because what is the other choice? Number 3, I can do this. Right? In your head. Then comes the second step in my personal life hack, and that's action. Say action. Action. Because you know what? Hopeful people do things. They do. They don't let other people do it for them. If you're hopeful and you really internalize what hope is, then follow it up with actions. Earlier before, I was listening to another beautiful presentation talking about the right action. And I want to add one more word. I want to say small, purposeful action. Think what you're going to do and do it. So what you just thought about, the hope from before, right? I want you to think of 2 actions that you can do. 2 actions on that one hopeful thing you had. Either a relationship in a workplace, at home, with yourself. When I came back from Las Vegas on Monday morning, I walked into the office of Moses and I said, Moses, took my fear, bottled it in, put my ego aside, so hard. And I said, can we please go every Monday morning to a coffee date to get to know each other? To my great relief, he said yes. Because, you know, he could have said no, you know, but he said yes. And the lesson from that, the tiny little lesson from that, is that sometimes everyone can be Dorice, but sometimes we can also be Moses by saying yes when somebody comes and say, let's try this, right? So we went every Monday for 4 months, coffee dates. By the 3rd or 4th coffee date, it was like different. I start feeling that I'm connecting with Moses. I start feeling that I'm becoming his friend. I start feeling that I can trust him. And then he trusted me back. And that's something that if today you ask Moses what he feels about me, he will say, Dorice is the sister I never had. Yeah, 4 months of coffee. Can you put 4 months into trying something? Yeah, don't expect it tomorrow, right? Because sometimes you may do an action and it may not be successful. Then what do? You know the definition of Winston Churchill for success. Anybody knows the definition of success? Going from failure to failure, but doing it with the same level of enthusiasm. Yes. You try again. Just shift. The 1-degree shift that Marley was talking about? Absolutely. You just shift a little bit. What can you do? But is hope and action enough? No. Say no. No, it is not enough. Because the last thing, the C in my personal life hack is needed. It is what I call the secret sauce. Have you ever had like pasta with 0 sauce? Like, what is that? Right? So this is what the secret sauce is. It's courage. Say courage. Courage. Courage is daring to do what you don't know the result will be. You don't know if you will sink or you will soar. But what you do know is that you can't stay in that junction anymore. That you have to move. Do you have junction in your life where you say, I gotta move from this? This is when you utilize courage. It's interesting, the word courage. It comes from Latin, and in French, the word courage means heart, cœur, right? In Hebrew, the word courage is ometz lev, the adoption of the heart, which means courage is listening to your heart. You will know what the right thing is to do, and then following it up with actions. It wasn't easy for me to go to my boss, knock on the door, and say, can we please try again? Can we please start? Can I invite you for coffee? Very vulnerable, but I did it. And I don't regret it for a second. So this is my personal life hack. And I invite you to consider that, to think about how in your own life you can put together hope, action, followed by courage. I want to finish with a blessing and a wish for each and every one of you, that may you find the courage to do what you are hopeful, what you hope to do. May you follow your hope with the right actions that will bring you the reality that you deserve. And while you cannot change yesterday, nobody can change yesterday, you can inspire your tomorrow. And you can inspire your tomorrow by the actions that you take today. Thank you.